Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. We're the Garso Twins. I'm Britta.
And I'm Carly.
We would love it if you would subscribe down below and hit the bell so you're notified when we upload. We have a fun video today. We asked you guys what videos you want to see in 2020 and one of you had a great idea.
2020.
Oh my god.
2022.
2022. I just stopped talking there. One of you had a great idea to do how we apply blush and bronzer and where we both put it on our faces. Because we do actually have quite different makeup techniques and styles.
We have slightly different face shapes too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So we were like, oh, that's such a fun idea. Let's do it. So
Yeah.
we're going to demo how we both apply cream bronzer, powder bronzer.
Yeah.
And then I apply cream blush and powder blush, and Britta applies powder blush.
Yeah, and I feel like cream bronzer we do pretty much the same.
I think so too.
We do pretty much the same. But then bronzer, powder bronzer, we do totally different. And blush, I feel like we do pretty much the same, or at least similar. But
Yeah.
it's helpful because, like I said, we do have slightly different face shapes and we do slightly different techniques. And so we thought it would be kind of like a 2-in-1. You guys see two different ways to apply it, and then you could try both and see what works best for your face shape.
Yeah, and I also wear more cream blush, so I
Yeah.
wanted to do that demo, but then
We both
layer cream and bronzer often too.
Yeah, I mean, I use cream on its own a lot too.
Me too, but I feel
with this
like
video, you just get it all.
you get
it all.
all the demos, powder and cream.
Yes, so let's get into
yeah.
it. Okay, so I prepped my face. I just have concealer, foundation, and my brows done. So I'm first gonna start with cream bronzer. I usually like to layer a cream and a powder. So I'm gonna do the Cosmetics stick in Terra, which is kind of like a contour shade. So I don't really do this because of my face shape. I feel like there are some people that follow a certain placement for blush and bronzer, dependent on your face shape. But I just feel like the way that I do it is to more so accentuate where my cheekbones are. So I place the cream, if I go like this, it's quite high, above that. The indent or hollow of my cheek is more right here. And it's almost where I would apply highlighter, or right below where I would apply highlighter. So I'm just gonna take a little bit and go right there. And you don't need a lot of this product because I layer on top a powder, or the cream beneath the powder. I feel like you just need a little bit just to create some definition before you go over top of the powder. And I'm taking the Merit blending brush and I'm just going to blend this out, kind of pat, don't drag, because you want this to be concentrated. You don't want to drag it so it goes lower, and you don't want it to go any higher either. So as you can see, that blends out so seamlessly, and it did go a little bit lower, but I'll show you the hollow of my cheek is still right here. So it's kind of just in the spot right above that, and hopefully you can tell by looking at me straight on that this just kind of created a little bit more definition and lifted the face a little bit, whereas this side just doesn't really have any definition yet. Okay, now I'm just going to finish up my face with the cream. I'm just gonna put a little bit around the perimeter of my face, and then again on the other side, just a little bit where I did it before, on the center or sides of the nose, top of the nose. This formula is so creamy, and I do this with basically all cream formulas. It's not I do different placements for each. I feel like some of them are a little bit harder to blend. This one I wanted to use on camera because it's so effortless and easy to blend. And then I know Carly and I have talked about the method too, where you can dot it on instead of, this is the only formula where I swipe directly on the face. So I thought it would be easiest to apply that one to show you the bronzer placement, cream bronzer placement rather. Yeah, you can see how fast it is, and it just adds a little definition before going in with the powder. Okay, so to demonstrate where I put cream bronzer, I'm going to use the new Rare Beauty stick because I'm also reviewing this product. So the thing about this product that really surprised me is it's actually more of a matte finish than a dewy. So I tried drawing it directly from the stick on my face, and most products, most cream bronzers, even if they're in a stick form, I don't do that. The only one I can is the Cosmetics stick because it blends out really nicely, but usually they dry too fast and it's just harder to blend. So I use this method for, I'd say, 80% of my cream bronzers, but I'll take the stick and I draw it on my hand like this. And this one is, like, it dries pretty quickly, so even doing this method, I feel like I have to go back in a few times. And then I take my preferred cream bronzer brush, which is the Omnia Balm 185 brush, and I dab it onto my hand, like so, to pick up the product. And then I always place cream bronzer, like, directly on top of my cheekbone, which I think Britta said she does too. So instead of, like, the hollows of my cheeks is, like, here, and I do it, like, where you can, like, feel bone, like, on my cheekbone. So I just lightly stipple it on. And this product especially was also, like, a little more pigmented than I anticipated. So I just pick up a little bit and then start to, like, blend it out. And if I was trying to, like, actually contour, I would really keep this, like, in that area. But since this is, like, a warm bronzer shade, I typically still put it on my cheekbone, but I'm okay with it kind of, like, getting outside of that area. But the reason I place it on top of my cheekbone, like I said, I'm, like, actually hitting bone when I do this method, is because if it gets too low, then I just don't like that look on my face. And I also, with warm bronzers like this, I bring them in quite a bit. So, like, I stipple it here and I go, like, all the way into, like, where is this? Maybe, like, right under my eyeball. Because I just like when my face looks warm. Okay, yeah, this bronzer already has, like, dried on my hand, so I might have to pick up some more. So then I will just go back in, do the same method. And I actually really like how matte this bronzer is. I'm sort of, like, showing you how I place it while also talking about the formula. I really like how matte this bronzer is because I don't have a lot of cream bronzers that do sort of dry down to, like, a more matte finish. And I feel like I'll really love this in the summertime. I'm actually, like, kind of surprised they didn't launch it in the summer because they launched it in the winter. I thought it was going to be, like, a dewy bronzer, but it's not. And I also really love how thin the formula is. I saw that a lot of the shades are really warm, but this one is, like, neutral warm on me, so it's not too like, orangey. So yeah, I always place bronzer on my forehead around the perimeter, and then I go down probably, like, to here. And I know that's kind of far, but again, when I tan in the summer, I don't intentionally ever get color on my face, but when I do, it always, like, hits me right here a lot. So I find that if I don't bring it down to, like, this area, like the middle of my forehead, it looks unnatural on me. Like, I just prefer that look because that's how I get color on my skin naturally from the sun. So I can dab it on again so you can see. But I know that on a lot of people that might be, like, too far down to bring bronzer, but I always like the look on me. For my nose portion, I will draw this directly on, and I just do, like, a line here and a line here. There's really no, like, method to this madness because when I blend it out, I just sort of, like, again, stipple, but I really just, like, color there. I'm not really trying to, like, restructure it or, like, contour it. I just, again, find that, like, because I get color a lot on my nose naturally from the sun, I just like that look. Okay, so when I layer creams and powders for bronzer specifically, I kind of like to go over top with more of a bronzer that has a sheen. You guys know my bareMinerals Invisible Bronzer is my favorite, and it works really well with, like, any cream I pair beneath it. So this, I'm using the Rougher 05 brush. I just kind of swirl it in, tap off the excess, and then I do the same, like, patting motion. So I'm just going to pat basically right over top of where I put the cream and kind of blend up. Like, you never want to blend down, so, like, pat and go up. Okay, so as I said, I'm going in with the powder on top of the cream just on the perimeter of my face. So I have less of a strategy on the forehead area. That's really just to warm up the skin, and then, like I mentioned, just tapping over the cream and blending upwards. This brush makes it really easy. It's, like, the perfect shape for bronzer. And then I'm going to take it just a little bit on my eyelids just to add some warmth there, and then I also lightly dust it on my nose. Okay, and because I want to demonstrate powders and creams today, I'm going to go in with my Victoria Beckham powder bronzer on top, and I'm using the same brush Britta did, the Rougher 05 brush. And this brush, because it's more, like, flat, I like to
place it on instead of like swirl. So I'm gonna mix the powder shades right now, dust them off. And then same sort of thing, although I will say with the creams I always go directly on my cheekbone, but with powder I go like a little bit under, because I find that like again, I like how my face looks just with a little more like color. I never want to go too far down because then it'll kind of like drag my face down. But with bronzer, I'm typically not trying to like chisel my face. And I find that when things look too like precise with bronzers like this, I just don't like how it looks on me, because I'd rather like just have my face look more colored than like chiseled, if that makes sense. So this is just sort of how it looks right now. And then I do the same technique on my forehead where I like start at the root and then I bring it down pretty far. Like I said, I like to like kind of maybe stop there. And then the sides of my face as well. And this bronzer, the Victoria Beckham, for like a powder bronzer, it's also matte. So it is kind of like, I like matte bronzers. I like shimmers too, but I'm definitely using like the matte Rare Beauty and then the matte powder on top. And I don't hate it. I think a shimmer bronzer would be nice over that Rare Beauty too, but they're both nice on their own too. And then I put some here, and I also kind of like drag it across sometimes and do that. And then on my nose, I just take a little bit and like try to just go on the sides where I put that. And then also kind of just like bring it in. Like I said, I just really like color on my face, I've realized. So yeah, this is how the bronzer usually looks when it's done. And then with blush, I usually don't layer creams and powders. I pick one or the other. So today, to show you where I put blush, I feel like it's kind of easier to place blush when it's a powder. So I'm using the Becca Wild Honey, which is like my go-to, and the JH, I think this is the 06 brush from Morphe Jaclyn Hill. I like this one because it is like so precise and fluffy. So I like this again because it does have like a little bit of a sheen to it. I feel like it just makes my skin look really healthy. And so when I do blush, I do smile, but I never put it like on the apples of my cheeks. I kind of start it like right here, kind of like the midway point between the apple and the temple, I guess. And then I blend upwards. So I just go like that. And then I also take a little bit and put it a little bit under the eyebrow to kind of create like a U or like a V right here, just to like add a little bit of warmth in this area of my face and kind of tie it all together. But this isn't super precise. Basically, I just don't bring it all the way to the apple. I kind of like it to like lift the face, and obviously this does maybe have more to do with like your face shape and what your preference is. I just like this personally on myself, and this brush also helps to like not deposit too much product, so you can really like build it up. You don't have to kind of worry about having to blend it out, because I do think that kind of defeats the purpose of placing it in a certain way when you're then having to like go over it and with like a blending brush and blend it out. So hopefully that helps. And then sometimes I do also like to take a little bit on my nose, again, just to tie all the colors together. Okay, now for blush, I'm using my K.R. Weiss Inner Glow Cream Blush first. This is my favorite cream blush. And I use the IT Cosmetics double-ended, this brush, I think it's the number 7. And I just dip it into the cream blush. This is a pretty sheer blush, but it's my favorite, so I wanted to use this for this demo. And I typically do this with every cream blush. I love like a more fluffy application because, again, I don't like it when cream blushes look too like precise. And I start like kind of at the apples of my cheeks. Like, so I'm smiling and I start like here. And I just like, again, stipple like I would with the bronzer. And hopefully you can see, like I said, this is a pretty like light blush, which is why I like it so much, but I hope you can see it. And so I'm just sort of like gently stippling, starting here and then bringing it upwards. This also has a little bit of a sheen to it, so I definitely don't like bringing it too low. Like, I like it on the apples, but I like bringing it on top of my cheekbone because it has that little bit of a glow. So it kind of acts like if I didn't want to add highlighter, it kind of acts like a little bit of a highlighter too. And that's not the same for all cream blushes, but I do use this method for basically all cream blushes, unless it's like super pigmented. But honestly, I don't have a lot of those because I just don't like it when cream blush is like too pigmented. And then usually like, I like how this looks, but I'll like go back in if I just feel like there's not enough color there. And then sometimes with this blush, because it's not very pigmented, I'll just sort of like dot it over my nose too. Because once again, I just like how color looks on my face. And with this one especially, I'm trying to add like a little bit of rosiness, but I'm not trying to add like dimension. Okay, and last but not least is powder blush. I'm using my favorite, which is the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. I've had this for like, I want to say like 4 years now, maybe 3. Whenever it launched, I bought it before it was even on Sephora. And I use it all the time, and I haven't even hit pan, and I don't know how that could be. So I'm just swirling it around. This also has a little bit of a sheen, which my favorite blushes, I've realized, like I like matte powder blushes, but I love when they have like a slight sheen. They're kind of like a satiny finish. This has like quite a bit of a sheen. So I use the Smashbox blush brush. What is it called? I'll link it below, but it's quite fluffy. And for powder blush, I definitely try to keep it like even lighter than my creams, whereas like the cream, I was sort of like really like dabbing it on. The powder, I like to like have a light hand, even though this brush is really diffused anyways. And I just sort of like start kind of in the same area and just like gently brush it up. Same thing, the bronzer, I don't really care if it gets a little bit lower, but blush, I always try to focus more up like towards my cheekbone, because I just don't like it when blush gets too low on my face. And this is like a very similar tone to that cream that I'm using. It's also, because of this brush, it's like not super pigmented. So I'm trying to like build it up so you can see. But typically with a nude blush like this, again, I'm not trying to like add a ton of color, so I'd probably like stop there. And yeah, so just really light hands and just sort of like feathering it up across the cheekbones. And then I would do highlighter on top. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, we hope that you found it super helpful. Let us know down below if you apply your bronzer and blush creams and powders in the way we do, like I do, Carly does. We're just curious to see your feedback and if this was helpful and what your thoughts were.